Hello friends, welcome to FinTech 101 series. In this video, in Introduction to FinTech, I'll be talking to you about what is FinTech. Is FinTech a 21st century phenomena? How long back did the FinTech start? And why I should know about FinTech? Does FinTech offer any good career opportunities? And if yes, what are those and what I need to do for getting those opportunities? I will be putting up a separate series of FinTech 201, 301, etc. which will cover some more topics in detail. So what exactly is FinTech? FinTech is an abbreviated form of financial technology, a term that is used to describe new technologies that seek to improve and automate the delivery and use of financial services. FinTech as a phenomena started quite some time back. For example, in the 19th century, in the year 1860, pentelegraph, a device, was launched which helped banks verify the signatures of the customers. Sometime after that, in 1866, transatlantic cables which joined the US with Europe were set up, and they were used for telex and money transfer. So these were the first examples of technology being used in the financial services. There were more examples from last century, more than 100 years back. For example, in 1918, Fedwire was set up in US for EFT or electronic funds transfer through telegraph and Morse codes. In 1950s, mid of the last century, Diners card was launched, followed soon by Amex credit card in 1958. So let's understand one thing. FinTech or financial technology or use of technology for delivering financial services is not a recent phenomenon. However, we call these as legacy areas. Some people classify these into FinTech 1.1, 2.1, etc. Some people say this is FinTech 4.0 that we are looking at. The areas in which FinTech started were like payments and transfers, using telegraph, telex, ATMs also, around last decades of the 20th century. The back-end banking systems like that which handle the customer data, which handle the transaction processing, handle customer service, for example, delivery of cash through ATMs, these were the first where the technology was initially deployed. So what we call as a legacy era, in which mainly banks and insurance companies started employing technology for delivery of services extensively. And they also had to undergo an extensive legacy upgrade process to move from old technologies like mainframe, etc. to new technologies like Java and .NET and so on and so forth. The focus was on computerization of branches, for example, connecting the branch systems or the computers with the mainframes or the servers which were located at a central location, on things like making sure that the tellers are able to handle the entire transaction processing by themselves, collecting the paying-in slip from the customer, verifying the signature using the computer, giving the receipt back to the customer and entering the data in the system. So everything getting captured by a single person, which was a work divided between a couple of people in the earlier times. ATMs were deployed in a big way to sort of obviate the need for the people being involved in, for example, a mundane task like dispensing cash to the customer. Also, they provided the services to the customer 24/7. Obviously, a human being cannot be available 24/7. Image processing to capture the check images, the passbook printing, and in insurance, for example, the online policy application which captured the data of the customers, and then the back-end underwriting teams could decide whether to issue the policy or not. Internet banking sort of opened up the banking services to the customers where they could go and themselves do functions like transfer of the funds from one account to another. These are all what we today call as the legacy. 20-30 years back they were thought of as modern, but when we think of FinTech per se, the buzzword that is very much dominating the discourse nowadays, we are talking of something which is really, really modern. And it has certain things that are distinctive. For example, these modern FinTech is deploying software as a service or SaaS, platform as a service, kind of business models in a big way. In fact, now we have banking as a service or BaaS, right, which you can get everything as a bank in a box, and you can provide it as a service. The social media, the mobility, the analytics and cloud, SMAC technologies are being extensively deployed by these FinTech players. There is relatively less regulation when it comes to the fintech, but it's getting tighter day by day, of course. For example, the RBI has come out clearly saying that the peer-to-peer lending platforms have to be sort of NBFC, right? So those kind of norms are being set up. So I won't say they are receiving very lax regulation now, but yeah, it was relatively lax maybe a decade or so back. There is a fintech, or the new startup friendly ecosystem from which fintech has benefited and also contributed back to that system. There is extensive availability of the venture capital or VC funds and also PE funds near towards the exit through an IPO. The kind of the tools through which the services are being delivered to customer, for example, they include artificial intelligence enabled chatbots, right, which can talk to the customer, try to understand their request better, and try to see that the problems are solved then and there itself. The transaction analytics are sort of helping banks understand the customer, their behavior, their requirements much better, and likewise customers are also getting, for example, their credit card spend completely analyzed, using their past data and the knowledge available to the banking system otherwise. The frameworks like the account aggregator networking framework, for example, which has been implemented by Government of India and RBI, right? So those kind of frameworks are coming through. Digital banks or neobanks, which are completely online, they are being set up. Payment wallets are very much a rage, something like Paytm and others. Mobile payments are now extensively being used, and I think one of the things we Indians should be proud about is India is at the forefront of these kind of technologies, right? Very easy to make payments. Insurance claims processing, for example, are being handled by use of AI and ML, right? So the insurance claim images, for example, a damage to your motorcycle that you are uploading on the insurance company's portals, are being looked at not by human eyes but by the AI and ML systems by using the visual image processing, and the claims are getting automatically sanctioned and at times getting flagged for the human intervention. So in that sense, the new or modern fintech is much different from the legacy fintech, and this is what we are implying when we use the word fintech today. There is a lot of difference between the legacy careers and the modern careers as well. The legacy careers were mainly in banks or in insurance companies or with the brokers and with the stock exchanges and so on and so forth. They were about upgrade of the legacy systems, which banks etc. were sort of afraid of, because the new systems would cannibalize their existing systems. They would make their existing investments obsolete. Now if you look at it, in the legacy area, the banks are shedding jobs. The biggest private sector bank in India, which has been growing 20 to 30% for over a decade, they in fact reduce their jobs quarter to quarter, even though their business is expanding, right? So jobs are getting scarcer, I'll say, though overall there is an expansion in India, obviously, but jobs are getting commoditized, they're getting obsolete. Sometimes with the new technology, the jobs simply disappear, and the margins are under pressure, at least on a transaction to transaction basis. So in some areas you may not get very good salaries or career progression as well. But whereas if you look at the new era fintech companies, which extensively use software as a technology, platform as a service, software as a service, platform as a service, banking as a service, etc., social media, mobility, analytics, cloud, they are funded by VCs and benefit from the startup friendly regulatory and the other ecosystem. There you get faster career growth, right? So you can grow from, let's say, 2 levels or 3 levels. And I think in the startup the career hierarchy is relatively flat. By third progression in your career, you might be heading something which is a big vertical in a fintech. So faster career growth is possible, great salaries if you really perform outstandingly well. You get a lot of satisfaction of innovating and contributing, for example, to the company, to the customer, and also maybe to socially and sort of economically marginalized groups. For example, your company may help somebody in tribal in a remote area make payments or maybe collect money, right? So those kind of services you can provide and get a satisfaction of helping the society as well. And also these areas are getting a lot of investments. As I said, PVC investments are extensively coming in this area, and they also are getting a lot of government support, right? Because government knows that these technology initiatives are extremely important for the country as a whole. And with registration as a startup under Startup India scheme, for example, these companies get benefits of tax holiday for 3 years and so on and so forth. So these modern careers could be much better for for you if you understand what FinTech is as a domain, which I will be doing in FinTech 101 and later, and then you develop the skills that are required for getting a good career in this area. So what are these new careers that we are talking about, right? These could be in areas like online customer acquisition, rather than waiting at the branch for customer to come, getting his form filled up online, selling. Now it happens online. So developing those kind of applications which are very easy for the customer to use, and you can just simply acquire the customer online, driving down the cost of customer acquisition. Doing technology-led sales, right? Getting involved only if the customer faces any issue. For example, if you are applying a policy online, at some point in time, if you're getting stuck, there will be a prompt that comes in, do you need any assistance, right? So we'll call you back. So that is the kind of a tech-led sales that you can get involved in. You can build partnerships and alliances with other financial institutions, other players in the marketplace to acquire customers. There are technology jobs, for example, as data scientists or analysts, where you can do extensive data crunching to help the bank or the financial services company increase their revenue or reduce their cost, and so on and so forth. There are integration specialists who work on things like developing the APIs or application programming interfaces, which is a rage, right? Because with open banking and other initiatives, when the customer wants to securely exchange their data and benefit from the other apps, integration specialists are much in demand. And then there are, of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning engineers who can help develop a lot of applications which think on their own, so to say, and they sort of give better insights to customers as well as to the fintech companies and banks. Other areas in which the career opportunities open up are in like a product manager, a product strategist, and a business analyst, more for people with sort of business skills. Of course, technology skills also come into play. And then you can be an operations analyst, a customer success executive who help ensure customer satisfaction, or you can be a compliance analyst as well, right? So a lot of career opportunities exist in the fintech area. These are well paying. The career progression is very good. You might be able to get the ESOPs, for example, in these companies, which might help you create extensive wealth, which you cannot otherwise imagine in a normal legacy banking institutions. So in this FinTech 101 series, I'll be covering the trends in India, for example, in fintech, which are the key technology and domain areas that are active, what are the fintech domain or the business models, right? How the risk, compliance and regulation in fintech is working, and of course I'll give you an overview of the career opportunities, different kind of roles that I mentioned, what do you need, what you are supposed to do in that role, and how you acquire the necessary skills. So this is what this FinTech 101 series will cover about, and the next series will cover into specific areas like the active domains, for example, the payments area, the wealth management area, open banking area, and so on and so forth, and the tech areas as well, right? Artificial intelligence and machine learning, big data, blockchain, and so on and so forth. So understanding this will help you identify the fintech growth areas, what are the roles and careers, what skills are required to be acquired, how do you acquire those skills, and help you get a great career in fintech. I hope you found this video useful. If yes, please do like this video, share with your friends who found this useful, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Cheers.